A former first-round pick just got cut, and the Raiders did not even blink. That one move tells you everything about what this franchise is becoming right now. Because while fans were busy celebrating the draft and dreaming about the future, the front office was quietly sending a message that absolutely nobody inside that locker room could ignore. Jobs are on the line. Spots are disappearing. And the Raiders are not slowing down for anyone, not even guys who used to be lottery tickets. This offseason has two stories running at the same time. One is about hungry rookies showing up in Las Vegas ready to steal roster spots from veterans who thought they were safe. The other is about a former high draft pick realizing that the NFL has officially run out of patience with him. And when you connect both stories, you start to understand exactly where this team is heading, and fast. The draft pressure nobody talked about. Everybody lost their minds when Las Vegas grabbed their franchise quarterback in round 1. Fair enough. A generational talent at that position changes the direction of an entire organization overnight. But here is the thing, if you actually paid attention to the full draft class from top to bottom, you notice something else happening quietly in the background. The Raiders were not just drafting for the future. They were drafting competition. Right now. Today. Think about the wide receiver situation. The team did not go after a big-name receiver early in the draft, even though fans wanted it badly. Instead, they waited until the 6th round and picked up a speedster out of Oregon, a young receiver with legitimate deep threat ability who can stretch a defense vertically, track the ball naturally, and create big plays without needing a massive route tree to do it. Does that sound like a throwaway pick to you? Because defenses have to respect a guy like that. And when your young franchise quarterback is entering the building for the first time, having someone who can pull the top off a defense is not a luxury, it is a necessity. Suddenly, receivers already on the roster who have flashed but never fully delivered are looking at a very uncomfortable situation heading into training camp. And that is just the offense. On the defensive line, the Raiders used a 7th-round pick on a nose tackle out of NC State, a guy draft circles had already been praising for his upside and energy. 7th round, sure. But new coaching staffs do not care about who almost made it last year. They care about who is producing right now. Players who only logged around 137 defensive snaps all season are suddenly looking over their shoulder at a fresh face with zero attachment to the old regime. But wait until you hear about what happened in the secondary, because that is where this front office sent the loudest message of all. Cliffhanger. The secondary additions are about to make things very uncomfortable for multiple players fighting for their NFL lives. The secondary takeover, the Raiders went absolutely aggressive in the defensive backroom during this draft. 4 defensive backs added in one draft class. That is not a message, that is a statement. The organization was not satisfied with the depth they had back there after what fans watched last season. One late-round corner out of Cal caught my eye immediately. Physical. Tough. Ball skills. Everything a defensive coordinator dreams about. And right away, his direct competition becomes obvious. A player who only played 13 defensive snaps all of last season. 13. When a number that small sits next to your name on the stat sheet, potential stops meaning anything. Production has to follow eventually or the math simply works against you. Now the room has 4 fresh defensive backs all fighting for spots. Versatility from one. Physicality from another. Developmental upside from a third. And a physical mentality that fits exactly what this coaching staff wants on defense from a fourth. When it comes down to keeping a player with upside versus holding on to someone who still has not carved out a clear role after multiple seasons, the answer becomes obvious very fast. Is the competition in this draft class going to push veterans off this roster before week 1 even arrives? Drop your answer in the comments right now. I want to know who you think is most at risk. Comment challenge. Which position group is the most dangerous battleground heading into Raiders camp? Receiver, D-line, or secondary? Drop your answer below. The cut that says everything. Now let us talk about the move that really explains what kind of organization the Raiders want to become. Las Vegas released a former first-round linebacker, the 19th overall pick from the 2021 NFL Draft out of Kentucky, right before rookie minicamp started. Cleared the room. Made space. Moved on without looking back. And when you see the career trail this player left behind, Washington, Green Bay, Minnesota, New York, Las Vegas, you understand how quickly the NFL moves past someone, even a guy who was once considered a long-term defensive centerpiece. The raw numbers are not embarrassing. 54 career games. 36 starts. 287 tackles. 22 tackles for loss. 8 sacks. There were real moments in there where you could see the athleticism that made a team spend a top 20 pick on him. But consistency never arrived. And last season with the Raiders, he only logged 16 defensive snaps across 2 games. 3 combined tackles. That is it. And here is the cold part. The front office did not just release him because the numbers were bad. They released him because they had already upgraded around him. 2 former Georgia teammates signed in free agency changed the entire identity of that linebacker room overnight. One of them brings elite speed, explosive blitz ability, and real pass rush threat from the linebacker spot. Exactly the kind of player that makes an entire defense harder to prepare for on Saturday nights. Even with some room to grow in coverage, he still raises the ceiling of that position group significantly. Add the other signing next to him and suddenly you have a completely different energy inside that room. Then layer in the rest of the depth chart, 6 or 7 linebackers all competing for spots, and a player who was already fighting just to crack the top 5 at his own position becomes expendable. Simple math. The PFF grades told the story clearly. 2. A peak of 67. 6 a few seasons ago, and then a slow slide down to 41. 6 last year in very limited snaps. That downward trend combined with a roster overhaul. No way back. Cliffhanger. But this single roster move is actually part of something much bigger happening in Las Vegas, and it connects directly to the entire vision this new coaching staff is building. The bigger picture, a franchise identity shift. Zoom out for a second and look at everything this organization has done since the new head coach arrived. A man who came over after helping run one of the most explosive Super Bowl winning offenses in the league last season as offensive coordinator. They drafted a franchise quarterback first overall, and then protected that situation by bringing in a veteran signal caller to stabilize the offense while the rookie develops. Smart. They added a center, edge rushers, corners, and guards. They stacked the linebacker room. They flooded the secondary with competition. They brought in speed and athleticism at every level of the roster. Even the odds makers are starting to notice. Expectations are not sky high yet, around 6 wins projected. But compared to where this franchise has been emotionally over the past several years, even movement towards stability feels like progress. And that is exactly what this entire offseason has been about. The Raiders are not patching holes anymore. They are reshaping an identity. Younger, faster, more physical, more competitive at every single position. The message is loud and clear. If you perform, you stay. If you do not, somebody younger and hungrier is already on the way to replace you. No exceptions. No draft status protecting you. No reputation saving your spot. Does that guarantee wins immediately? No. The franchise quarterback is still a rookie. The secondary still has to prove itself after all these additions. The new head coach still has to show he can turn promise into actual results on game days. But for the first time in years, there is a real direction forming in Las Vegas. And Raider Nation has been waiting a long time to feel that. So tell me, which rookie do you think is most likely to steal a roster spot this summer? And was cutting that former first-round linebacker the right call? Or did this organization give up on him too early? Drop your honest opinion in the comments. Raider fans always have strong takes and I want to read every single one of them.